Hi, I'm Allie. I'm a senior biomedical engineering major.
And I'm Rebecca. I'm a senior neuroscience major.
And we're here on behalf of Design for America. So Design for America is a national network of college studios. We're on over 20 campuses across the U.S. It was founded at Northwestern 6 years ago. And we are at schools like Yale, Stanford, Rice, Vanderbilt, just to name a few. We teach the human-centered design process, and so what this graphic shows are the 9 steps of the human-centered design process broken down into 3 phases: create, or design, create, then implement. And the design phase is shown in orange. The create phase is in dark gray, and it's kind of hard to see the implement phase in light gray. But what this graphic kind of shows is that we see design as an iterative process. So while you might be in the design, or while you might be in the create phase, you're always going back to your design and getting user feedback and changing your design based on what you learn in the other phases.
So we have 30 members in our organization, and we have across Pratt and Trinity, so 18 in Pratt, 12 in Trinity, and we also span a really wide array of majors as well as grades. So we have grad students, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and I think that's something we really pride ourselves on, is getting input from different majors and different backgrounds. So this year we have 5 teams and 5 projects. The first one is healthcare, and they're partnered with Durham Health Innovation, an organization off campus, and they're working on oral hygiene. And one thing DFA does is they come up with how can we statements, and that's what you base your project on. So their how can we is, how can we promote children's oral hygiene? So they're working to solve a problem based on that question. The next project is homelessness. So homelessness is something that's tackled by a lot of organizations at Duke. So what this group did is they took a different perspective, and they're working with preparing homeless shelters with the products they need for like when people come in, and how to deal with like the homeless and like giving them what they need to get back on their feet. Then we have early childhood development. So this team is partnered with EK Powell Elementary right off of East Campus, working with their like recess and special needs kids, and trying to see how they can more intertwine them into like the regular student day, because right now it's pretty separate. The fourth team is the elderly. So they're working on tackling loneliness within old age homes. They've gone to a bunch of old age homes off of East and West Campus to get different perspectives, and have talked to a lot of not only like people living in the homes, but families of those living in the homes to see how they can combat that problem. And then lastly is worker safety. This is a national project, DFA National, so they're on a really strict timeline, and they're partnered with Rubbermaid. In December, they're actually being flown out by DFA to pitch their project to Rubbermaid, and it has something that can really be implemented and really can be used by a corporation, we hope one day, which is amazing. And the team leader of this team really exemplifies a human-centered design process, because they're working with janitor safety, and one thing he did is he had his entire team scrub showers in a West Campus dorm for I think 2 hours to get like the empathy side of it and be able to put themselves in the shoes of the janitor and the safety workers.
So we did receive EAC funding last year, and so we want to thank you for it firstly, and second, tell you what we did with that money. So we brought in one speaker, Veronica Scott. She started the Empowerment Project. It got a lot of national attention, and she was actually, Design for America National has a conference during the summer, and she was a speaker they brought to that conference, but since not all of our members had the privilege of attending, we wanted her story to be shared with not only the Design for America students, but also the entire Duke community. So we partnered with the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Department and brought Veronica Scott here last January. And that was a huge success. Her honorarium was $2,000, and we split that with Matt Nash, who's a representative from the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Department. And we also sent 2 students to the nationally sponsored Leadership Studio. We pay no dues to Design for America National. They are just a resource for us. We are assigned a national mentor who coaches our teams through the design process, and then they host this Leadership Studio during the summer. And that is something that the students who attend the Leadership Studio are responsible for paying for their own hotel rooms and flights to and from the conference. And we like to subsidize that, because we think the students that go to Leadership Studio really are invaluable beacons of this design process to our studio, but also to the Duke community as people who are experts on this human-centered design process. So this year, we're requesting funding for events. At the beginning of each semester, we've started having these design process boot camps to give our members an overview of what the process is going to look like to better orient themselves and prepare themselves for how to best plan the semester. And then also team bonding. So we have 5 teams of 4 to 6 students, and team bonding is essential. And we like to fund the teams to go have meals together and do events like scrubbing showers or like dumpster dive, like whatever it might be that will get them in the shoes of the user. And sometimes there are transportation costs and the like associated with that. So we like to enable our teams to really get the most out of their team experience and do as much together as possible. And also our national mentor, Julian, as I mentioned before, he is a great resource. He can come here and lead workshops for classes. I know he taught a workshop at a FUCO class, and also for us. So he led our 2-day boot camp at the beginning of this semester, and we pay for his flights. And that's a huge part of like allowing our members to feel connected with DFA National, as well as getting someone in who's an expert on the process who can kind of give us feedback as we go along. So that totals $1,340 as our request from the Engineering Alumni Council this year. We did receive funding from the Engineering Student Government earlier this year that we're going to use to fund Leadership Studio. So we are Design for America, and we thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Any questions?
Are these themes, do they carry forward each year? Do you develop solutions each year that are different, or is it something you keep working on?
Well, I think the goal is to have semester-long projects, but obviously there's a lot of leeway with that depending on where the project's going. I mean, we had projects last year that were entire year projects and then ones that were one semester. I think it just kind of depends on the team leader and where the team sees their project going. And the ultimate goal of these projects is to implement them, you know, within the community and hopefully like within the nation, you know, kind of have a larger scale, like ideally. But I think it depends on like where the team lead and where the team wants it to go. So we have community partners that are willing to partner with us for next semester if these projects don't pan out. And the national project will definitely be over at the end of the semester, but the teams kind of have their own choice as to what they want to do.
You mentioned you've got a national mentor on the design process. Are you also engaged with the faculty in the engineering school on the design process as well?
I saw a need for Design for America because engineers don't really get a chance to do design until their senior year at Duke, or at least in my BME curriculum. And I also saw, I do all my homework with engineers, and I wanted the chance to get a different perspective from some non-engineers as well. Like, I think working in teams of engineers has been an invaluable experience. But this process is a little bit, I would say it's a little bit softer design. We don't use the machine shop. Like, that's not part of what we teach, really. It's more of like the brainstorming process, like more of what IDEO does, if you're familiar with IDEO. And so we have consulted faculty, and we've brought some engineering faculty in as speakers, but we kind of teach a less linear design process, I guess, than engineering, and more empathy-centered. So we do consult the engineering faculty when necessary, which obviously when these things try to become products, that's it. You do need someone who has a little bit more hard design skills, but our process is a little different. So.
You just mentioned, I know you're Trinity and you're Pratt. What's your overall group breakdown of Trinity versus Pratt students?
18 Pratt and 12 Trinity.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.